Acne? There I am. Good evening. It is Saturday evening. I know a lot of people are out and about, so may not be that many people in here today. Let people come in. Let me see. A friend of mine asked me to let her know when I went live, or there we go. Anyways, so it is Saturday evening, AA evening. See you. Hi, Lily. Thank you for coming. Thank you for letting me know that you can hear me and see me. Another week sober. Good to go. Another day sober. Anyways, I hope y'all are having a great day. Let's see. Okay. I'm Sandra and I'm an alcoholic. Hey, Juan. Hey, Josh. Just testing and healing? Yeah. I know you've been working a lot. So, I am Sandra. I'm an alcoholic. Let's go ahead and say the Serenity Prayer and get the meeting going. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. If you're new here, welcome. Please don't be judging each other in the chat and be kind to each other. And if you have any questions, please ask them. I try to answer them to the best of my recovery on things that I have, ways I have used my program to help me. Hello, Hitchapinto. Thank you guys for being here. Please be kind to one another in the chat. And, yeah. So, 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defective characters. 7, humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Hello, Ava. 10, continue to take personal inventory and when wrong, promptly admit it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Now, I do always put in the description what book we're reading and what page we're reading and the storyline of what we are reading. And just so you know, these stories are other alcoholic stories and their journey and the ways that they have found to use their program to help them stay sober. So we're on 348, and it might have been worse. Alcohol was a looming cloud in this banker's bright sky. With rare foresight, he realized it could become a tornado. How can a person with a fine family, an attractive home, an excellent position, and high standing in an important city become an alcoholic? As I later found out through Alcoholics Anonymous, alcohol is no respecter of economic status, social and business standing, or intelligence. I was raised like the majority of American boys, coming from a family of modest circumstances, attending public schools. Having the social life of a small Midwestern town with part-time work and some athletics. The ambition to succeed was instilled in me by my Scandinavian parents who came to this country where opportunities were so great. Keep busy, always have something constructive to do. I did work of all kinds after school and during vacations, trying to find that which would appeal most as a goal for a life work. Get out of there. Sorry, the dog. Copper, get. Now. He always waits until I'm live to act like a pain in the bouquet. Lay down. Go find Dad. Then there was wartime. Service in service to where'd I go? Sorry guys. If I look away, I lose my spot. So easy. Then there was wartime service to interrupt my plans, and an education to be picked up after the war. After that came marriage, getting started in business and a family. The story is not very different. I don't get this thing. Sorry about that, guys. It's so annoying. Just annoying. Urgh. Hey, it shows nothing or no one to blame for alcoholism. The drive to get ahead, to succeed, kept me too busy for many years to have any great experience with social life. I would have begrudged the time or money for alcohol. In fact, I was afraid to try it for fear that I would wind up like many examples I had seen of excessive drinking in the army. I was intolerant of people who drank, particularly those who drank to an extent that interfered with their on-the-job performance. In time, I became an officer and director of one of the largest commercial banks in the country. I achieved recognized and national standing in my profession, as well as becoming a director in many important institutions having to do with the civic life of a large city. I had a family to be proud of, actively sharing in the responsibilities of good citizenship. My drinking did not start until after I was 35 and a fairly successful career had been established. But success brought increased social activities, and I realized that many of my friends enjoyed a social drink with no apparent harm to themselves or others. I just liked being different, so ultimately I began to join them occasionally. At first, it was just that, an occasional drink. Then I looked forward to the weekend of golf and the 19th hole. The cocktail hour became a daily routine gradually. The quantity increased and occasions for a drink became more frequent. A hard day, worries and pressures had bad news, good news. There were more and more reasons for a drink. Why did I want increasingly greater? Oh, sorry. It was frightening that drink was being substituted for more and more of the things I really enjoyed doing. Hunting and fishing were now merely excuses to drink excessively. I made promises to myself, my family, and friends and broke them. Short, dry spells ended in heavy drinking. I tried to hide my drinking by going places where I was unlikely to see anyone I knew. Hangovers and remorse were always with me. The next steps were bottle hiding and excuses for trips in order to drink without restraint. Cunning, baffling, powerful, the gradual creeping up of the frequency and quantity of alcohol and what it does to a person is apparent to everyone but the person involved. When it became noticeable to the point of comment, I devised ways of sneaking drinks on the side. Rehearsals then became a part of the pattern. Stopping at bars on the way to or from the place where drinks were to be served. Never having enough, always craving more, the obsession for alcohol gradually began to dominate all my activities, particularly while traveling. Drink planning became more important than any other plans. I tried the wagon on numerous occasions, but I always felt unhappy and abused. I tried psychiatry, but of course I gave the psychiatrist no cooperation. I was living in constant fear that I would get caught while driving a car, so I used taxis part of the time. Then I began to have blackouts, and that was a constant worry. To wake up at home, not knowing how I got there, and not and to realize I had driven my car became torture. Not knowing where I'd been or how I got home was making me desperate. It now became necessary to have noon drinks, at first just two, then gradually more. My hours of work were flexible, so that returning to the office was not always important. Then I became careless and returned sometimes when I shouldn't have. This worried me. The last 2 years of my drinking, my entire personality changed to a cynical, intolerant, and arrogant person, completely different from my normal self. It was at this stage of my life that resentments came in, resenting anyone and everyone who might interfere with my personal plans and ways of doing things, especially for any interference with my drinking. I was full of self-pity. I will never know all the people I hurt, all the friends I abused, the humiliation of my family, the worry of my business associates, or how far-reaching it was. I continue to be surprised by the people I meet who say, "You haven't had a drink for a long time, have you?" The surprise to me is the fact that I didn't know that they knew my drinking had gotten out of control. That is where we are really fooled. We think we can drink to excess without anyone's knowing it. Everyone knows it. The only one we are fooling is ourselves. We rationalize and excuse our conduct beyond all reason. My wife and I had always encouraged our children to bring their friends home at any time. But after a few experiences with a drunken father, they eliminated home as a place to entertain friends. At the time, this didn't mean much to me. I was too busy devising excuses to be out with drinking pals. It seemed to me my wife was becoming more intolerant and narrow-minded all the time. Whenever we went out, and she appeared to go out of her way to keep me from having more than one drink. What alcoholic can be satisfied with one drink? After every cocktail party or dinner party, she would say she couldn't understand how I could get in such a drunken stupor on one drink. She, of course, didn't realize how cunning an alcoholic can be, and the lengths to which he will go in finding ways to satisfy the compulsion for more and more drinks after having had the first one. Neither did I. Hi, Jenny. Finally, our invitations became fewer and fewer as friends had more experience with my drinking pattern. 2 years before I joined AA, my wife took a long trip during which she wrote me. She just couldn't return unless I did something about my drinking. It was a shock, of course, but I promised to stop, and she returned a year later. While we were on a vacation trip, she packed up to go home because of my excessive drinking, and I talked her out of it with the promise I would go on the wagon for at least a year. I promised, but within 2 months, uh, I began again. The following spring, she left me one day without giving me any idea of where she had gone, hoping this would bring me to my senses. In a few days, an attorney called on me and explained that something would have to be done, as she wouldn't face returning to me as I was. Again, I promised to do something about it. Broken promises, humiliation, hopelessness, worry, anxiety, but still not enough. There comes a time when you don't want to live and are afraid to die. Some crisis brings you to a point of deciding to do something about your drinking problem, to try anything. Help you once continually rejected, suggestions once turned aside are finally accepted in desperation. The final decision came when my daughter, following a drunk of mine that ruined my wife's birthday, said, "It's Alcoholics Anonymous or else." Of course, the suggestion had been made before on a number of occasions. But like all alcoholics, I wanted to handle my problem my own way, which really meant I didn't want anything to interfere with my drinking. I was trying to find an easier, softer way. By now, it had become difficult to visualize a life without alcohol. However, my low had been reached. I realized I had been going down and down. I was unhappy myself, and I had brought unhappiness to all who cared for me. Physically, I couldn't take it anymore. Cold sweats, jumpy nerves, and lack of sleep were becoming intolerable. Mentally, the fear and tensions, the complete change in attitude and outlook bewildered me. This was no way to live. The time for decision had arrived, and it was a relief to say yes when my family said they would call Alcoholics Anonymous for me. A relief, even though I dreaded it, feeling, feeling that this was the end of everything. Early the next morning, a man whose name I knew well, a lawyer, called on me. Within 30 minutes, I knew AA was the answer for me. We visited most of the day and attended a meeting that night. I don't know what I expected, but I most certainly didn't visualize a group of people talking about their drinks, making light of their personal tragedies, and at the same time enjoying themselves. However, after I heard a few stories of jails, sanitariums, broken homes, and Skid Row, I wondered if I really was an alcoholic. Just a second, guys. Maybe later. After all, I hadn't started to drink early in life, so I had some stability and maturity to guide me for a while. My responsibilities had been a restraining influence. I had had no brushes with the law, though I should have had many. I had not yet lost my job or family, even though both were on the verge of going. My financial standing had not been impaired. Could I be an alcoholic without some of the hair-raising experiences I had heard of in meetings? The answer came to me very simply in the first step of the 12 steps of AA. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol. Their lives had become unmanageable. This didn't say this didn't say we had to be in jail 10, 50, or 100 times. It didn't say I had to lose 1, 5, or 10 jobs. It didn't say I had to lose my family. It didn't say I had to finally live on Skid Row and drink bay rum, canned heat, or lemon extract. It did say I admitted I was powerless over alcohol, that my life had become unmanageable. Most certainly, I was powerless over alcohol, and for me, my life had become unmanageable. It wasn't how far I had gone, but where I was headed. It was important to me to see what alcohol had done to me and would continue to do if I didn't have help. At first, it was a shock to realize I was an alcoholic, but the realization that there was hope made it easier. The baffling problem of getting drunk when I had every intention of staying sober was simplified. It was a great relief to know I didn't have to drink anymore. I was told that I must want sobriety for my own sake, and I am convinced this is true. There may be many reasons that bring one to AA for the first time, but the last one must be to want sobriety and the AA way of living for oneself. For the first time, from the start, I liked everything about the AA program. I like the description of alcoholics as a person who has found that alcohol is interfering with his social or business life. The allergy idea I could understand because I am allergic to certain pollens. Some of my family are allergic to certain foods. What could be more reasonable than that? Some people, including myself, were allergic to alcohol. The explanation that alcoholism was a disease of a twofold nature, an allergy of the body and an obsession of the mind, cleared up a number of puzzling questions for me. The allergy we could do nothing about. Somehow our bodies had reached the point where we could no longer absorb alcohol in our bodies. That one drink will set up a reaction in our system that requires more. That one drink is too much, and 100 drinks are not enough. The obsession of the mind was a little harder to understand, and yet everyone has obsessions of various kinds. The alcohol has them to an exaggerated degree. Over a period of time, he has built up self-pity and resentments towards anyone or anything that interferes with his drinking. Dishonest thinking, prejudice, ego, agnosticism, or antagonism, towards anyone and everything or everyone who dares to cross him. Vanity and a critical attitude are character defects that gradually creep in and become a part of life. Living with fear and tension inevitably results in wanting to ease that tension, which alcohol seems to do temporarily. It took me some time to realize that 12 steps of AA were designed to help correct that was designed to help correct these defects of character and so help remove the obsession to drink. The 12 steps, which to me are spiritual way of living, soon meant honest thinking, not wishful thinking, open-mindedness, a willingness to try, and a faith to accept. They meant patience, tolerance, and humility, and above all, the belief that a power greater than myself could help. That power I chose to call God. A willingness to do whatever I was told to do simplified the program for me. Study the AA book. Don't just read it. They told me to go to meetings, and I still do at every available opportunity, whether I am at home or in some other city. Attending meetings has never been a chore to me, nor have I attended them with a feeling of just doing my duty. Meetings are both relaxing and refreshing to me. After a hard day, they said, get active, so I helped whenever I could, and I still do. A spiritual experience to me meant attending meetings and seeing a group of people all over for the purpose of helping each other. Hearing the 12 steps and the 12 traditions read at the meeting and hearing the Lord's Prayer, which is an AA meeting, has such great meanings. Thy will be done, not mine. A spiritual awakening soon came to me, trying each day to be a little more thoughtful, more considerate, a little more courteous to those with whom I came in contact. To most of us, making amends will take the rest of our lives, but we can start immediately just being sober. We'll make will be making amends to many we have hurt by our drunken actions. Making amends is sometimes doing what we are capable of doing but fail to do because of alcohol. Carrying out community responsibilities such as community funds, Red Cross, educational and religious activities in proportion to our abilities and energy. I was desperately in earnest to follow through and understand what was expected of me as a member of AA, and to take each step of the 12 as rapidly as possible. To me, this meant telling my associates that I had joined Alcoholics Anonymous, that I didn't know what was expected of me by AA, but that whatever it was the most important thing in my life for me. That sobriety meant more to me than anything in this world. It was so important that I must come ahead of anything. There are many short phrases and expressions in AA that make some sense. First things first, solve our immediate problems before we try to solve all the others and get muddled in our thinking and doing. Easy does it. Relax a little. Try for inner contentment. No one individual can carry all the burdens of the world. Everyone has problems. Getting drunk won't solve them. 24 hours a day. Today is the day. Doing our best. Living each day to the fullest is the art of living. Yesterday is gone, and we don't know whether we will be here tomorrow. If we do a good job of living today, and if tomorrow comes for us, then the chances are we will do a good job when it arrives, so why worry about it? The AA way of life is the way we always should have tried to live. Grant us serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. These thoughts became part of our daily lives. They are not ideas or resignation, but of the recognition of certain basic facts of living. The fact that AA is a spiritual program didn't scare me or raise any prejudice in my mind. I couldn't afford the luxury of prejudice. I had tried my way and had failed. When I joined AA, I did so for the sole purpose of getting sober and staying sober. I didn't realize I would find so much more, but a new and different outlook of life started opening up almost immediately. Each day seems to be so much more productive and satisfying. I get so much more enjoyment out of living. I find an inner pleasure in simple things. Living just for today is a pleasant adventure. Above all, I am grateful to AA for my sobriety, which means so much to my family, friends, and business associates because God and AA were able to do for me something I was unable to do myself, to do for myself. I have sponsees that I always, those sayings stick out, all of them. I've used every single one of them to get me through whatever point I needed to get through. Telling my sponsees, first of all, have you admitted, um, you know, my sponsor has always been there. Both of them. Uh, One of them passed away, but they both had always been there for me. Anytime I've had questions or I was stuck on a feeling, um, you know, life things that can creep up and make you think, okay, today I'm gonna go back out. That's when you need to call a sponsor. Don't wait. If you think you're gonna slip off the wagon, call someone. Call someone. You need to call someone. Tag a friend, a family member. Someone will understand what you need and be there to help you through that. Even if they don't know what anything about AA. It's having someone that understands the type of help that you are trying to find and maybe that's the person you need to hear from. And I know I'm not the only one that reaches out and says, hey, go to AA. A friend of mine told me, and it's been the best thing ever. And I always stress to everybody, put your sobriety first. Cannot do anything else until you put that first. You have to make sure you are okay. You have to make sure that you can make it through that day being sober. That is your point of every day. Wake up and say, I have today sober. I have today sober. Even if you have to say it half a bazillion times in a day, I have today sober. You don't have to say it out loud. You can say it to yourself. You're doing this for you. Yourself. Nobody else can work this for you. You have to want it for you, and you have to do it for you. I love you too, Brandy. But the whole thing about going to meetings is people in the meetings understand. I'm shy. I'm very shy. Y'all wouldn't know by me being up here and doing these live streams, because this is something that has touched my life for the past 10 years. And it's very, very important to me. And I say this all the time. I tell everyone I am a recovering alcoholic. Whether it's somebody I work with, whether it's my boss or a friend or anybody, I am a recovering alcoholic. I will forever be a recovering alcoholic. And I do look forward in time for my next year of being sober, but I sure don't grasp it like fully, because once you do that, you could be setting yourself up, And the thing what I mean by that is, if you tell yourself, I'm never gonna go drink again and blah blah blah, you could. You could. That's why we have to fight it here and here. And we have to want it for yourself. Treatment and help with being sober has to be done by you. Nobody else can do it for you. It's different to catch them all, but I do know people that have not gotten to the point where they can fully understand that whole point of the reason you're going to get sober. The reason you're going to get sober is not for your family, not for your friends, not for Joe Blow on the street, not for Sheba down the road, or Shelly in a different state. No, I don't know. Those are just random names. But you have to do it for you. I still every now and then get into that self-pity. But mostly it is my anxiety or my depression getting to me. And those days make it hard also. But I always remind myself there's a reason why I there's a reason why I stay sober, and it's for me, my health, my sanity, because I was not nice when I was drinking. Um, I didn't care if I had friends. I mean, most of the time I was just wanting to ask them if they had beer. I'm being honest, you know. I want to drink, and I don't do that. I don't ever want to do that. It's not that you can't get sober, because you can. You can live a normal, happy life in sobriety. I wish everyone could find what I've got, the gift that I've received, the power I've gotten over me, the difference that I am. If you saw me 12 years ago, I'd probably be drunk. I'd be stupid, acting like a big B, you know, being a jerk, hunting for the next drink, you know. It's the truth, and not something that I don't ever want to do. I don't plan on doing that. And I always remember where I've come from, because I was all of those things. I wanted to remember where I put my alcohol, which half the time I didn't know where it was. You know, you don't always get the best end of the deal when you're drunk. You just go out there and you act dumb. And hi, Ash, welcome. But I'm just gonna go back and look at something. I don't know how long I've been live, but it doesn't matter. I have the free StreamYard, so. But like this set, the title is, it says it might have been worse. It could have been worse. It could have been very much worse. I mean, you could have not even made it this far if you were still drinking. That's what I would. Um, I'm sober, and I've gotten to be able to and live seeing my kids have a and watch my friends and family that have been sober and all kinds of exciting stuff. Um, uh, sorry, I'm just looking for another thought that, okay, this is one thing that my sponsors always said. Uh, the explanation that alcoholism was a disease of a twofold nature, an allergy of the body and an obsession of the mind, cleared up a number of puzzling questions for me. The allergy we could do nothing about. Somehow our bodies had reached the point where we could no longer absorb alcohol in our systems. That's why it's not important, or the why is not important. The fact is that one drink will set up a reaction in our system and requires more. That one drink is too much and 100 drinks are not enough. That's the truth. That is a hard truth fact for me because it is an obsession of your mind. Because you obsess, like me, I had to have that every morning, which meant I had to be awake and going down to the store to get more beer at 6:50 a.m. Yeah, it's bad. And you can, I didn't admit that I was an alcoholic until after I was already into my alcoholism. And I didn't quit drinking right after I admitted to myself that I was an alcoholic. I kept going. So admitted that was not, didn't affect me. But when I decided that it was time to stop, it was time to stop. And then I found after I had already quit drinking, which is good either way, you know. It has taught me a lot in the past 10 years on my own ways of keeping myself sober and helping me to stay sober. Um, I I do this as my service work. I'm helping others by being here and doing these meetings, and I do it because the gift was free and I was told to share it. I can't keep it for myself. I have to share it with everyone. And so I've learned to do that. Dog taking off with my laptop. I'm trying to unplug my laptop, silly boy. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and read the daily reflection. Thank you, Ash. It means a lot. Daily reflection. If you don't have it, download the daily reflection. You can get your daily reflection app on your phones or your tablets or your Chromebook or whatever. Um, it it's it tracks your sobriety birthday. It tracks it gives you daily reflection for every day. Most of them have the literature there, and they have audio book there. So you can if you download the app, then you can have all of that and still come here and I'll read them because it helps me too as much as it helps everyone else. So today is February 1st. Goal: sanity. Step 2: gently and very gradually began to infiltrate my life. Infiltrate my life. I can't say upon what occasion or upon what day I came to believe in a power greater than myself, but I certainly have that belief now. 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 27. You can find the books just about everywhere also. And it's the big blue book, and then the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, a little blue book. Came to believe I gave lip service to my belief when I felt like it or when I thought it would look good. I didn't really trust God. I didn't believe He cared for me. I kept trying to change things I couldn't change. Gradually, in disgust, I began to turn it all over, saying, "You're so omnipotent, or um, sorry guys, I don't know what that word is. You take care of it." He did. I began to receive answers to my deepest problems, sometimes at the most unusual times. Driving to work, eating lunch, or when I was sound asleep, I realized that I hadn't thought of those solutions. A power greater than myself had given them to me. I came to believe. And that's another thing. I always tell people, it's a God that you understand. Anyway, I love you guys. Let's go ahead and say the Trinity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. By the way, I will be live Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and then again next Saturday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Love you guys. Be safe out there. Stay sober. Be kind. Turn in the live stream.